Get strapped in for the Rugby League Awards the fans decide. It's time for your 2022 Super League Pod Awards and SLP Dream Team Show, aka the 9th Annual Sloppies. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 361 of the Super League Pod, or as we like to call it this time of year, the Sloppies. The 9th Annual Super League Pod Awards show is what we're bringing to you this week. And to start the show, I'm joined by David and Alan. Good to have a bit of a three-way. We all up for a three-way?
That's a way to start the show.
Fair enough.
Why not? Why not?
Are you both well, Alan? You good?
Yes, I'm very well, very well.
Excited for the World Cup?
Yes, I am excited about it. I think that I've got, after the warm-up games, I've probably got more questions than answers, but yeah, I'm excited about it.
Oh, David, are you excited for the World Cup?
I am very excited about it, Mark. I'm really looking forward to getting back up to Magic headquarters at St James's Park this weekend, quaffing a few beers and roses and going watching England turn over Samoa. Yeah, can't wait.
And we've got so much to look forward to. What I suppose for you, though, David, you're going to have to experience life supporting the underdog for the first time in 4 years. That's going to be a tough one for you.
Yeah, well, you know, I've got vague memories, Mark.
Good stuff. Well, another one of our more regular underdogs, Sarah, will be hopefully joining us at some point. She's going to be joining us from a holiday in Prague, so
dedication.
Every credit. We are going to do the 2022 SLP Awards. We're going to take you through all the awards you guys voted for and the SLP Dream Team as well. We'll finish off by revisiting a few predictions. One absolute stinker of a prediction from me that never came anywhere close to passing the crossing line. But we're going to start, before we do any of that, we're warming up by talking about some of the competitions that have finished since we last did our grand final recap show 2 weeks ago. So we're going to start by talking about some other results. I know, other results to start the show. What an absolute shocker. But Alan, do you want to tell us what the score was in the wheelchair Super League grand final that happened whilst we've been away?
Yes, so this one finished Leeds 48, Halifax 52.
What did you make of it?
It was an absolute slobber knocker of a match.
Boring looking scoreline.
Absolutely one of the best games of wheelchair rugby I've ever seen. Ebbs and flows. Halifax in charge for the vast majority of the first half. Leeds couldn't really do much right. Complete turnaround at half time. Leeds remembered how to play, particularly how to kick balls into the in goal, kind of put pressure on Halifax. But on the flip side, whenever Halifax got a chance in the second half, they managed to score. So it was just ebbing and flowing and an absolutely sensational match. I thought Leeds had won it. I think they thought they'd won it.
Yeah.
and then Halifax came back and actually scored the last points, and it was
right to the end. I mean, Leeds had like a final play that seemed to go on for about a minute after the hooter, where they were just, all of a sudden the tags wouldn't fall off Halliwell's shirt, but they couldn't get the ball to someone in enough space to capitalise, and they ended up with a loose ball from a kind of scrappy, desperate kick. But even like right to after the hooter, it was an exciting game of rugby league.
Yeah, it was right up there with the best games, and it definitely whetted the appetite for the World Cup coming up.
Helped by Halifax bringing in, it's not a ringer, is it? Because he played half of the regular season for them, but they brought in Jeremy Bourson, the French player, along with Seb Bishara, the English player, both Catalans Dragons players normally. Those two will have loved getting a bit of revenge after losing the Wheelchair Challenge Cup for Catalans against Leeds, but they were instrumental for Halifax. The Rob Hawkins, isn't it? The other England player for Halifax who's just absolutely rapid. He scored 4 tries in the first half, was it? Most of them set up by great play by the two Catalans guys, and it was it seemed like after a tense first 20 minutes, that second 20 minutes in that first half, Halifax seemed like they were stamping their authority on things.
Yeah, completely. And you felt like there was no way back at half-time. But for a game that's usually so ebbing and flowing, actually Leeds did an incredible job of maintaining pressure and kind of how they managed to make the ball stop in the in-goal on a kind of obviously a hard surface like that consistently was one of the best displays of kind of tactical play that I've seen probably all year, actually. To actually, really get themselves back into it. And then, Halifax couldn't really do anything about it. As I said, unless they had 1 or 2 little chances that kind of came their way, and they made it work.
Similarly, though, like you talk about the sort of short kicking game from Leeds, the sort of chips over the top and that sort of stuff. And when you're turning around some of the bigger guys that Halifax had, that's a good tactic to play, whereas Halifax were doing it the other way, where they could chase longer kicks because they had speed, they had power. And I'd say one of the most pivotal single plays that I've seen all season in any version of rugby league was that Bashara goal line dropout that went the full length of the pitch, and the speed of the Halifax chasers that caught Nathan Collins in goal. So turning a dropout on your own end to a dropout at the other end, and then they scored a try not long after that. On the ensuing possession, I think like that was one of the most pivotal plays. Maybe since the Mark Sneed 40-20 in the 2016 Challenge Cup final, like that pivotal of turning the game around. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that play, but yes, now you remind me. You're completely right.
It's been stuck in my head for a week. It was an amazing play.
Yeah, no, it was. It really was. And these are they got to the grand final for a reason. These two teams, that they're exponents of the game at a masterful level, really. So,
and talk about excitement for the World Cup. I think we saw like what England might be able to offer in that wheelchair World Cup, and it's very exciting. We know France are going to be fantastic as well, and the way the draw's set up, it's set up for them to meet in the final, really, isn't it? At Manchester, the night before the men's and women's finals are at Old Trafford. That's at Manchester Central. So I think people should think about getting tickets for that, because that could be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, can't disagree with that.
What was the result in the Championship Grand Final, David?
Yeah, so in the Championship Grand Final, a slightly less close game in the end, with Lee beating Batley 44 points to 12, and I guess we'd probably all say not a huge surprise. In fact, no surprise at all that Lee ran out winners. I think Batley played reasonably well early on, and kept it fairly tight, as you would have hoped they would do, to try and make the game, competitive. But at the end of it, Lee towards the end of the first half got away from them a little bit, and then saw it off in the second half, and we got the result I'm pretty sure all of us expected to get.
Yeah, and Lee scored some pretty decent long-range tries from players that might not even be at Lee next year, with the way things are, with them having to cut some fat from their overseas roster. But Caleb Aikens was fantastic for them, so that's something for Wales fans to be excited about. But nothing really, any shock, any surprise. No one's, after they did what they did and showed how dominant they were in the 1895 Cup final back in May, it's just been how many will Lee beat teams by each week, including every other opposition, hasn't it? So it's not been a huge surprise. Alan, did you catch any of this one? Make anything of this one?
Bits and pieces. Obviously, the writing was on the wall, really. From to be honest, even if Featherstone had got through, I still think the writing would have been on the wall.
Yeah.
It was a mismatch. And it is a mismatch, and it has been a mismatch. As you say, probably since April, May, it's been a mismatch in this league.
Yeah.
So as a result, I was nowhere near as excited about this as I was about the wheelchair match. Just because of the almost inevitability of the result.
Yeah.
Batley did well. They did about as well as I would expect them to do. Because obviously Lee have been very good defensively as well as being dynamite going forward. So a couple of tries, you've got to respect their effort. But yeah, I mean, I said in my kind of review of the semi-final that Batley probably didn't want to go up. I stick by that they don't have any setup to do so. But they've had a wonderful year, and losing by 32 against this Lee team that isn't even eligible to play in Super League.
Well, it kind of takes the piss a bit out of promotion and relegation, isn't it? That a team that goes up can't possibly play in the next division with the team that it managed to put together in this division, versus a team that probably didn't even want to go up. But that's promotion and relegation that people want. But other than IMG.
Yeah, but as I said, well done to Lee, I suppose, if you're interested in that kind of thing. But yeah, no big surprise, I'm afraid.
The League One promotion final to get the second spot going into the Championship alongside Keighley, who ran away with the league season, was a bit more of an interesting, close affair. Swinton 16, Doncaster 10, and it wasn't really decided until the last few minutes for a breakaway try from Swinton. They were 12-10 up. They scored a breakaway try kind of as the game was ending, really, to make it 16-10. Doncaster led early, Swinton fought back, Doncaster led again, Swinton fought back. It kind of was a bit of a roller coaster game, a very close game played at Sale, wasn't it? So I think Swinton were the better side over the course of the season and over the course of the 80 minutes, but Doncaster hit him a couple of times with counter punches that I don't think Swinton were expecting. I think Swinton thought they'd win this game a bit easier than they did, but Swinton will be pleased to be back in the Championship for next year. So well done to Swinton. I thought they had people that you've heard of playing in Super League 4 or 5 years ago, sort of thing, in the Swinton side. I thought Nick Gregson was pushed into the half-back positions rather than his usual this year ball playing loose forward, but he has played a lot of second row in his time. I thought he was really good in the game for Swinton. He used to play for Wigan and I think for Lee. So yeah, well done to Swinton. Did you guys catch any of that one?
I've seen highlights. I saw obviously the Swinton final try came because Doncaster were in desperation mode, to try to get a score, and he was kind of ball kind of hit the ground and Swinton broke away. Tight as you would expect it to be. I just think Swinton are a little bit more ready to go back into the Championship. I think they're more likely to be competitive next year.
Well, they retained people like Lloyd and Gregson and Butt and Hansen and people like that, didn't they? Who can be performers at the next level anyway. So they kind of, I think they were surprised by how bad they started 2022 rather than how well they finished it. Yeah,
exactly. And I think obviously Doncaster have been at League One for a while, have kind of been quite. I mean, all League One teams are reliant on this to a degree, but there's a bit of a conveyor belt in terms of player changes and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think it's better for the Championship that Swinton got promoted. I think they're likely to be more competitive, better than Workington were this year, for example.
Yeah,
I think they're a little bit more capable. So I think both Keighley and Swinton are probably, possibly, hopefully, a bit more competitive than the teams that have gone down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we'll see what next year
Keithley
brings.
have been signing people for fun as well, haven't they? So they look like, I mean, they're not like Liam Featherstone arms race of early 2020.